Hello and welcome to my website, Born in Hell, and my name is Lori Ann Smith. I am a child abuse survivor, just really speaking about the issues regarding child abuse and domestic violence, abuse, violence, family violence. Just wanted to be a voice for survivors out here who cannot speak out for whatever reason or those whose voices have been silenced. And really, this is mainly all about public information, child abuse prevention, just so that people will know this goes on. You see the headlines out there, the children ending up in the body bags in the morgue or in the hospital due to the abuse. And we need to keep talking about this before, or it's just going to get shoved under the carpet. And it just makes it more and more easier for abusers to get away with what they're getting away with, which is murder. If it's not murder of the physical body, it is murder of that child's spirit and soul. And so as a survivor, I sit here and I'm telling the truth 100%. And I just want people to know what abuse really, really is. It's destruction. It's complete destruction of a child. And if they aren't killed, many will just go on to live a life of death. And that's why I called my book that I wrote, A Life of Death, The Redemption. And because I was redeemed out of hell, really, out of a life of hell, of abuse, and the aftermath of dealing with the abuse. So I appreciate everybody who's through the years, really mainly since 2009, followed my work and spent time listening to my work on Blog Talk Radio, Spreaker, different places, read my books. I appreciate all the money that I make from those books. I actually donate because I don't want the money for those books. That's a huge insult to me. I paid for those books with my blood, and so did my siblings with their lives. And so the money, I don't want the money for those books. That money goes to help stop and prevent child abuse. So thanks everybody very much for your support. I really appreciate it. I appreciate your friendship. All the people that watch my stuff, a lot of them are my friends. And I thank you for your interest in my story, for caring about children. And we'll get right into this. This is a continuation of a video series, Born in Hell. And we're looking at ages, actually age 31 now. I did 30, 31, but I'm going to continue on in 31 right now and pick up where we left off. You can go back and watch the last video. You have to watch at your own discretion, please. It's very explicit, graphic information, talking about abuse, which is horrible. The stuff that I'm talking about can make people very uncomfortable because I'm not sugarcoating it. I'm just telling it exactly as it was. And I am allowing people to see through my eyes how absolutely horrific abuse is. And, just to give people an idea that if you've never been abused, I really hope that you haven't, that you would be able to see, what just one survivor story, and also to be a voice, like I said, for survivors. So you have to listen at your own discretion. I'm talking about abuse, very sensitive material. If you think the topics of abuse, child sexual abuse, abuse of any type, as well as like violence, family violence, that type of thing, foul language, please, if this is going to bother you, do not watch my videos. Do not listen to my child abuse prevention is up to us or one child abuse survivor to another stuff, because I'm talking about abuse. I don't sugarcoat it. I just tell it like it is. And so it could make people uncomfortable. And so if you're a survivor, you have to listen at your own discretion as well. Make sure that you are far enough along in your healing journey that this information is not going to cause you to fall back in your healing journey and to regress. You don't want to do that. You want to go forward in a steady pace, with your healing journey, and you don't want to regress and go backward in your healing journey. So be very, very sure that you're safe enough to listen to another survivor story. And if you're a minor under 18 and under, please have an adult, an adult, a parent, someone. Watch this stuff first, listen to my stuff first before you do, to help you make a decision whether you should be watching or listening to it age appropriately. Because it is about child abuse. So yeah, I was a child, I was abused. The thing is there's a lot of adult content on here that, minors 18 and under, I'm sure you've seen it all on TV already, but for your protection, I am all about child abuse prevention, child safety, child protection. And so I would ask you to do me a favor and you a favor, and age appropriately helps have an adult help you make that decision whether you should be listening. So we'll get right into this. I am 30 years old, and in the last video, if you want to go back and watch, I just moved back to Calgary after my mom died, And I went to the funeral and finished all that up, visited with some friends, hadn't seen for a long time, many of them, and went back to Canada. My sister wanted me to stay down there, Kathy. She wants me to stay. She doesn't think I should come back up to Canada. She's like, stay here. My dad he just lost his wife. There was a lot of, up in the air stuff. Where's my dad going to go? They just moved back from New Mexico. He has nowhere to go. They just stopped in at her place to see her and stay with her for a few days till maybe they could get settled someplace. They have no place to live. Now my mom's dead. She's in the ground. My dad doesn't know what he's going to do. My sister's like, I guess I'll just let him stay here till he can figure out what he's doing, help him get through this, So she did, which was really nice of her. And I moved back to Canada because I had a two-way ticket and I was determined I was going back to Canada, even though I had left my husband who is now Cecil. I left him because I lost the baby, and I blamed him, really. I didn't blame him for losing the baby, but I blamed him for not being there for me. And so I decided not to go to Edmonton, where he is. I go to Calgary, and I get my apartment, so you can go back and watch that. So I closed the door to my apartment. And so begins, like I said, a new nightmare. I'm working at this pub. It's a busy pub. It's an awesome pub. It's one of the most awesome pubs in the whole city. I'm going to get some good experience here. They welcome me in as just like a regular cook, like just a regular cook on the line, right? I'm doing hot food. I'm doing food prep. I'm going to get a lot of experience here. So I'm excited about the new job. And I'm not into drinking alcohol. I've never been into alcohol. I was always into drugs. Alcohol is not a problem for me, so working around a pub's no problem because I'm not into booze and I'm not into the party scene anymore. I'm just cooking, and I love the excitement of that pub because it's so busy that they turn tables steady and they move food steady, and you have to be so fast and so good to be able to stay and work there that if you don't come up to where everybody else is on their level within a certain period of time, you have to go, because that's how you have to be good. In other words, you can't just be a run-of-the-mill cook. You got to know your stuff. You got to be fast. It's got to be good, and you have to be really good at what you do to stay there. So I'm thinking this is going to be really good for my experience, for my cooking experience, right? And I'm happy I got a job. That's wonderful. But I am alone in Calgary. I only know one lady who's a friend of my brother's, who I stayed with for 3 weeks when I got back from the funeral because I needed to make enough money to get my apartment, right? Because I'm broke, man. I'm 30 years old. I just turned 30 in December. My mom died in April. I'm 30. I'm broke. You know what I mean? I live paycheck to paycheck. But I've always been broke. My parents were not well off. I'm used to just doing what I have to do to make it, right? So this is a no frills deal. I have no bed, no furniture. I got a little plastic white resin chair that I actually have my alarm clock on, and a couple of little things. It's like a little stand really for me. I'm not sitting in it. I'm actually sitting on the floor on my sleeping bag, which is on top of my clothes for some padding on the carpet. And there's nothing in there. There's no TV. I have a little radio. And I'm thinking this is cool because it's my pad. It's my place. I can shut the door. My place. You know what I mean? I don't care if I have food. I get to eat one meal at the restaurant a day. Good enough. I've always been a little on the heavy side. I need to take off a few pounds anyway. Ever since I was a little kid and I was really skinny and my mom was beating the shit out of me. Well, when I got to be older, especially around 15, when my friend died, I put on some weight. Just out of depression. Like I said, I was eating bags of chips, but then I started doing a lot of drugs and I dropped that weight. So by the time I'm 21, I'm skinny again. 2021, I'm thinned down. Not bone skinny, but thinned, and but progressively, especially working in the kitchens now. I'm 30. I put on some weight. Plus, I was pregnant for 4.5 months and lost my baby. So, miscarriage. So, I can afford to lose some weight. I don't mind just eating one meal a day. So for the first month, I'm just trying to deal. Just lost my mother. I lost my baby within 5 months. I lost my mother, my baby. I left the man behind that was the baby's father because I didn't trust him, didn't trust anybody, didn't trust myself, and he wasn't there for me. And so now I'm sitting in this apartment in Calgary, in the same city where my two brothers died. Nice. I walked by the building where my brother committed suicide, the one that was 33 years old when I was 20, my brother Rob, who sexually abused me. And I look up at the windows and I think, I wonder which one he was in. I don't have a clue. I just know the building. And then I know the shelter. I find out where the shelter is, where my bro died in the shelter of a drug overdose. And I see that. It brings back some sad memories, you know. And, but most of all, what was going on at this time was this new nightmare. You know, I'd go to work and I was fine at work. I've always been able to work. I've never had any problems holding a job. That's never been an issue for me because, see, when I was little, you know, my mom would beat the shit out of you and you had to pull it together. So before school, you know, it doesn't matter before you're going someplace, you know, she'd beat your ass. She'd slap you in the face and you'd have welts and stuff and scratches on your face and you'd be beat to rat shit. And then she'd be like, you put a smile on your face right now, God damn it, or I'm gonna give it to you again. And you'd be like, and you'd smile because you'd be like, I don't want another beating, man. I really don't. I swear to God. Look at my smile, man. Because you know, so she trained us. She trained us how to be, especially her daughters, how to do this. Right? I don't know about my brothers, but I do know that that's the case with me. So I've always been able to hold a job down. I can hold a job. I can smile. And I go back to my apartment every night, and I just lost my mom, so I'm grieving. I'm grieving the loss of my mom. I go back home after work. I get off late at night because I'm working a night shift, so I don't get home till 1, 2 o'clock at night. And it's not that far from where I live. This pub. It's not. It's only a few blocks away. So I walk home sometimes because I'm not really paranoid. I'm not afraid. I'm out 1, 2 o'clock in the morning walking around. My parents were my fucking monsters. You know what I mean? And my brother who raped me when I was 8 years old, and he was 21. Those are the monsters, man. I didn't have monsters under my bed. I had parents and a brother who was a monsters, you know. So I'm not really paranoid. I don't. I kind of feel like I can deal with what I need to deal with, right? So I walk around 2 o'clock in the morning. I walk home from work, and I go home and plunk down on my little sleeping bag on the floor, and I just grieve. I grieve the loss of my mom. You know, I cry. Nobody's there. It's just me. You know, I cry for the loss of my mom. I cry for the loss of my baby. I cry for the loss of Cecil, who I'm pretty sure that I love, but I've never been shown how to accept love because my mom didn't love me. Nobody in my family ever said, "Oh, we just love you." Not till I got much older. And I mean, I didn't trust them anyway because they're all a bunch of dogs. So it's like, you know, I just couldn't. I was just like so. It was a new nightmare, and I started to feel this inner rage coming because my mom had just died. I mean, let's say the month before, maybe 2 months before now. And I can feel this inner rage coming on from way, way deep down inside. Because I'm sitting there grieving my mother and I'm thinking, I will never get what I needed from her. See, when she died, that was the end of that. I mean, sure, I sat on the sidewalk in the sunshine, you know, after they pulled the plug and we had said goodbye to her. She was gone. You know, I sat on the sidewalk and I thought, oh, it's over. It's over. She'll never be able to hurt me again. It's done. But I had no idea the emotional scarring, the psychological scarring that was done to my heart and done to my mind. I knew I was screwed up, but I had no idea how bad, you know, and how bad this would affect me. And so I start feeling really a lot of just way deep down inside there that there's this scream that needs to come out because that's that little girl inside of me who is freaking out because she knows that her mother's gone and she is not ever going to hear what she needed to hear from her mother. That she loved her, She truly loved her and that she really did care. And that, she wasn't this little rape child. And that she didn't deserve to be beat on and have her nose broken and her lips split open and, her face cut and scratched and the top of her head pounded in with the mallet handle. And she didn't deserve to have that rolling pin beating that just cracked my skull and ruined my vision and, makes me dizzy all the time. You know what I mean? It's like she didn't deserve that. There's this little person in there that's never going to be held by her mother. Never. Never, never. She's never going to experience that. And this is the God's honest truth. My mom never, ever, ever held me. No. She was not emotionally attached. She was emotionally detached. And that way she could hate my guts. And it was easy for her. That's why she could beat me. That's why she could push me into the oven, burn my knees and my hands. That's why she could beat me with these heavy objects. Kick me, punch me, call me names, throw shit at me, spit in my face, call me the worst things. Because she was emotionally detached. This way she doesn't have to love me. I don't mean anything to her. I'm just a punching bag. I'm just this little piece of shit, worthless rape child. She never wanted in the first place. So this inner child, this inner person that I am, knows that she's never going to be held by my mother. Never. And there's no other mother that can do this for me. I can't go out and pick a mother and say, would you be my mother for 15 minutes? And, I know this sounds a little weird, but nothing kinky or anything. But could you just be my mother for 15 minutes and just pretend? And could you just hold me and kiss me on the top of the head right here and just be like, oh, I just love you. Give me kisses and this kind of thing, smooth my hair, tell me nice things like, oh, you're my beautiful daughter and I just love you so much. And I could, rent a mom, right? That's what I need. I need a rent a mom, you know what I mean? I don't know what it's like. See, that's why I'm telling you this now. This is why I have so many issues. I have so many problems, you know what I mean? Because I don't know what it's like at all to have a mother's touch. A soft, kind mother's loving touch, right? I know what it's like to be beaten on, right? But I don't know what it's like to cuddle up next to your mom on the couch, and have your mom, read a book to you, She did a couple little things with me when I was little. She had a little tea party for me, which I mentioned in one of my first videos, actually. Because that's one of the only things that she ever did with me. That's why I remember it. No. She had no time for me, man. She was too busy hating my dad, hating her life. And then I became this great punching bag for her. It was just, I'm sure she loved it. Especially when I screamed out, then she really loved it. Because see, I wasn't allowed to cry, but I was allowed to scream. So when she's kicking me in the side, you fucking bitch, and kicking me, boom. And if I'm like, ow, then she's like, yeah, and really give it to me. She loved it. She loved to hurt me, man. So I'm sitting there thinking, night after night after night, I go cook during the day before my shift. I actually start at what time do I start? I think I start 5 o'clock or something like that. It's like an evening shift, right? Because I'm running through the night. I get off at I think it's 1:30 in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning or something. So I get home 2:30, something like that. By the time I wind down, it's 2:30 in the morning, right? Sometimes 3, just depends. So, I'm working my shifts, and then I come home to my little apartment, and I sit down on that sleeping bag, which I'm really happy to have. A little roof over my head, thank God. And, I sit there and I think, I will never, ever get what I needed from her. It's done. And so I grieve. The first few months, that's all I do. I work and grieve. And I also start having a lot of nightmares. about the abuse, which, to be honest with you, I really never had nightmares about the abuse before my mom died. And I really never even had flashbacks. I wouldn't sit there and think about her bashing me in the head, stuff like this. Or I knew she bashed me in the head, you know. My dad whipping my legs with that cane. A lot of people saw that, you know what I mean? It's like I knew about the abuse, but I had tucked it in these little drawers and I put it away so that I could survive. See, I want people to see how this works, right? It was there, it was always there, but it was put away, tucked away neatly so that I could survive more abuse. Because I never knew which way it was becoming. Whether it was my dad, you know what I mean? Whipping my ass with his belt, trying to hit me in the face with his belt buckle, which he did on several occasions. That's why I have all this fucked up skin here. And, just anything they could do to hurt me, you know what I mean? I never knew which way it was coming, who was going to be next. Thrown into walls, bounced off a wall. So it was just a survival mechanism. Right? Put that stuff in a drawer, put it away. Because I got to live for them. I got to live to the next one. You know what I mean? And I got to try to stay sane in the meantime. So, I started having a lot of flashbacks, of the beatings, nightmares about the burn, the oven, the oven episode. And so I detail this in the book. I go in the bathroom and I look at that scar. I do have a scar. It's still there. Scars on my knees from the burn. And you can't tell the scars on my hands because it's just, I've got just handprints, you know what I mean? But, I have so many burns on my hands from cooking. But the other stuff is there. I have a side scar from that pan, that cookie sheet. And I look at these things, these old scars and these wounds, and I will never get what I needed from my mother. But she left me with a lot of scars. And not only those, but the scars that are in my heart. And so I just continue on like this. I mean, I'm in a funk right now. I'm not necessarily contemplating suicide. I'm trying to survive. I'm thinking I got to make rent. I got to get as many hours at work as I can get, and I got to make rent. Well, I meet this lady at work, and I find out she lives really close to me, like 2 blocks away. And she actually becomes sort of a very comforting person to me throughout this next portion of my life. She's a good friend. We hit it off right away, and she's one of the bosses there. And I tell her a little bit about my story, just that my mom had just died. I'm on my own. I got nobody up here. I don't know anybody. And she's like, well, I just got to take you under my wing. She's a little bit older than me, and it's probably about 5 years or something. And I'm like, we hit it off. So we walk to work together and stuff. We're on the same shift, and so that was a comfort for sure. But through this year, I'm really just kind of winging it. I'm making it. But through this year, I'm thinking about Cecil because I knew I cared about him because I would have never let him touch me. See, because I don't let guys touch me. No. Yeah, I don't. I'm talking to opposite sex. You know what I mean? Like I don't let guys touch me because I was raped as a child. That's always the way it is, right? And so I can't be in a relationship, really, but I feel like I love Cecil. I would not have had anything to do with him if there wasn't something there. And this I know because I know myself, see. I had lots of opportunities, especially in my 20s, all the way from like 20 really to 30 before I moved to Canada, several opportunities, guys asking me out, wanting to go out on dates, wanting to take me out. One guy wanted to marry me, and I didn't even go on a date with him. He was a little whack job, you know what I mean? But for me to have anything to do with Cecil, and get pregnant, lose the baby, I knew there was something there, but I just needed to have time to make sure that my feelings were true and correct, and that I wasn't just running from an abuse situation with my parents, leaving my abuser family behind, and running into the arms of a man for comfort or for support or whatever, and getting into a relationship for that reason, which would have been the wrong reason. So all this while I'm in Calgary, he's up in Edmonton. I haven't heard from him. Because I said, when I called him, I said, it's over. You can move on with your life. I'll do mine. Great. Well, it lasted, and have a good life. That's about it. I wish you the best. We didn't end on really a bad note or anything. He was hurt because I left him. I was hurt because he wasn't there when I lost the baby. So we were both hurt. And we left it at that. But I talk about him all the time. I tell Michelle about him. I tell her about losing the baby. I don't tell her a lot about I don't just openly go running and telling people that I've been abused. Right? I don't just walk around. Now I do. Right? Hi, I'm an abuse survivor. You know what I mean? But this because this was doing public advocacy. But before, I would never just tell people that. Have to be somebody there to be a reason for them to know this, right? So she doesn't know that I've got so much baggage, you know what I mean, at this point. But she just likes me anyway, because she feels kind of sorry for me because I'm just there. I don't know anybody. I'm just trying to make it. The year rolls along, and I'm going to turn 31 in December. I'm still making it through. I've still got a lot of problems. I'm still grieving because I'm grieving. I've got this, like I said, this internal rage coming up, which I don't take to work and start slamming dishes around at work and stuff like this. It stays internal, but I can feel it because it's making me sick. You know what I mean? It's making me ill and anxious because I want to scream. I want to scream my head off. A scream that would be heard around the world. A scream for the fact that my mother said the most horrible things to me and meant them. I was never going to get from her what I needed. She's dead. My dad, who cares about him? Such an asshole, And no real support. I screwed the relationship up with me and Cecil. Just a scream of so much abuse and pain, like I've talked about. You can watch all my videos here. That I had never allowed myself to let that scream out. You know what I mean? I was screaming in some of those beatings, I'll tell you. And I was also screaming during the rape, just in case. You can read my book. It's very graphic. But the thing is, this scream was so much louder than that. Because this scream would be heard around the world. It would be a world, earth-shattering scream. That was just my pain that needed to come out, Because while I was living at home with my mother, it was all about pleasing my mother, like I mentioned on 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 videos ago. Talking about before I moved to Canada, so 27, 28, that I just was this, I was just this kid that loved my mom, and I wrote her poems. Like I said, I'm 11 years old. I'm in the 7th grade. I take Spanish and I pick it up quick and I really love it. And so I write her these poems in Spanish. And it's like she's everything to me. She's my sunrise. Like, she's beautiful because I want her, and I'm not lying about it. I'm being honest. I loved my mother. And I thought maybe if I write her poems and I translate them for her, she'll love me. It was all about pleasing my mom. So all that abuse got tucked in a drawer. I didn't hold it out to her and say, there was only that one time when I mentioned the rape to her, because she said, well, if you move out, who's going to protect me from your father from raping me? And I'm like, well, Mom, there was nobody there to protect me when Rob raped me. She was like, how dare you bring that up to me? Oh, I never, freaking out. Right? You can go back and watch that video. And so I'm like, I had a couple of things that I brought up to make a point, but I didn't just dangle it in front of her going, every day, what you did to my head, what you did to my face, It's like she sees it. She knows what damage she did to me. I don't need to point it out, right? It's just, unbelievable. So it's a horrific situation, But I had wanted to please her so bad that I was willing to sacrifice my own adult life to the age of 29 when I decided, that's it. I've got to go. I've got to go. So I'm just now 30, going on 31. I'm turning 31 in December. And all of that abuse, all of the beatings, all of the burn, the rape, the child rape, that she allowed my brother to rape me. And all of the name calling, the verbal insults, the verbal screaming at me, verbal, cursing me, spitting in my face, kicking me, punching me, throwing me into walls, slamming me into walls. That's all starting to kind of want to come out. Up until this point, I've had it tucked in the drawer. Nice and safe. Turn the key, put the key away. Well, now I'm kind of like, the key's there, and that stuff is starting to boil. It's bubbling up. It's going to come up. And it's going to come spilling out over those drawers, and I know it. It's only a matter of time. But I don't know what to do with it, because I, after all, don't go get help. Oh no, we don't get help in our house, right? So I just let it ride and try to deal, because I work full time. I'm busy, you know what I mean? And also, I'm kind of not sure how to deal with it, right? How to handle it. I don't even know anything about abuse issues or adult survivor issues. I've never looked into it. I don't know anything about it. All I know is that I'm just dealing with stuff that happened to me, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I know I'm screwed up, I know I'm screwed up. I knew that. At 10 years old, I told my mom to go ahead and kill me. I was like, go ahead and kill me. You've already killed me. I'm already dead. Of course I didn't want to die. That's how I felt. That's how they made me feel. That I was nothing. I may as well be dead. So it was a horrific situation. So we'll leave off here, 30 minutes or so. And we'll pick up the next one. We're looking at 31 to 32. And so goes the issues of the adult survivors that adult survivors face, after coming out of the aftermath of abuse. Right? It's a horrific situation. So thanks everybody for your interest in my work. I really appreciate it. Thanks for doing all you can to stop and prevent child abuse. And thanks for doing all you can to help support a survivor, being a friend to a survivor, listening to them and not telling them, can't you just get over it? Isn't it just time you get over it? Can't you just forgive and forget? Was it really that bad? Those types of things. Just be an ear, be a shoulder, man. Be a comfort to somebody who's known a lifetime of pain. A lifetime of pain that would just destroy a person. That's why we're trying to pick ourselves up off the ground. Because that's just what we keep doing. We could use a little support. So thanks everybody for doing all you can to help in this situation and make a difference in a child's life. Learn the symptoms, learn the signs and symptoms of abuse, protect your own children, and get involved. Use your voice, spread this message, spread my work. I want this everywhere. And, do what you can to make a difference in this mess, right? God bless you all till the next time. Talk to you soon.